I'm ever so glad you popped in, love. Just sit yourself down and I'll be with you in half a mo. When I finish basting the ham, we'll have a nice cuppa. The kettle will soon be on the boil. I'm about to do a spot of baking, so never mind the mess. Look at these apples, would you, Maud? The best old Matty the greengrocer had, but they look like they died of a bad fright, and it isn't as if I didn't pay an arm and a leg for 'em. But they'll bake up nice in a tart, and Bill don't half like a sweet, especially a good apple tart. I want to give him a bit of a treat tonight. You know, he's a good man, my old Bill. Even though I grumble about him, I really do appreciate my old geezer. And I was thinking today, well, you silly old cow, you should show him. Wouldn't hurt a bit to show him. You get to taking one another for granted in a marriage over the years, I was thinking to myself, and you shouldn't always be having a go at him. Oh, I don't half guess the neighbourhood from here to Wapping hears us shouting at one another now and again, and I'm never shy about letting the old man know his faults. But it's all in a bit of speech, like, a part of daily living, and not to be took too serious. Not that he done put me off, he has his aggravating ways all right, but he's a decent sort, good father, and an hard worker. I've always said there's more to my Bill than a liking for a pint and a quick turn under the blanket. And he's smart. He is. I mean to say, like, him being in his trade, he gets to see all kinds. And from the inside out, so to speak, the high and low alike. So there's no use anybody putting on la-di-da airs with him, for he's seen 'em all in their knickers with their hair down, in a manner of speaking. So it isn't every day he's impressed. Like yesterday, for instance, he comes in just as I laid the tea, but instead of tucking in as usual, he just sits there, hardly speaking. So I'm thinking to myself, what's he on about? And I says to him, is everything all right, love? Well, he don't half give me a start when he says, in a kind of funny, quiet voice, so's I know he's been thinking it over like, Gladdie, he says, do you suppose there's anything in this business of religion? So, I think for a moment, what's he been up to? And I answer, casual like, well, there's some what makes a right to do about it. What do you think? And he tells me. He was on a job up in some posh place where Lady What's-It-Thingmy lives, and that the house was all in an uproar on account of her ladyship had some very important guest. Some sort of foreigner, but a real gentleman, and a kind of preacher. And the place was buzzing with callers and everybody making a fuss over him, including her ladyship. She was a nice, motherly sort, says Bill, but she'd let it be known it would be appreciated if he could get the work done and clear out smartly. So, he does his work quick all right, and in such a tearing hurry that he's nipped out and is halfway down the block before he notices he's forgot his tools. Well, that's my Bill, I thinks to myself. His daydreaming don't half drive me mad, as you well know, Maud. So back he goes, on the quick, and gets himself let into the front passage. But before he knows what's happening, a door bursts open and a crowd of people comes into the passage. And there's poor old Bill caught in the act, and him wishing the floor would open up and swallow him, he was that confused. Isn't that the limit? I says to him, wondering why he's not laughing fit to burst. 'Cause it's the kind of daft thing what would tickle him after it was over, and him not being one that'd be afraid to say Bob's your uncle to the Archbishop of Canterbury if he had a mind to. So what did you do? I says. Well, says Bill, I just stood there, 'cause that foreign gentleman was in the middle of the crowd, and the minute he spots me, he steps forward, and the others step back like. And he comes right over smiling, like he knew me all me life. And he shakes me hand and he says, welcome, welcome. I never met anyone like him. He was that polite and friendly, says Bill. So he speaks English, I says. I thought you said he was some sort of foreigner. Oh, he was dressed foreign-like, says Bill, but he spoke English, and it sounded all right to me. Well, I guess there's foreigners and foreigners, Maud. You see, he was ever so nice to Bill, courteous-like, asking him questions about where he lived and did he have a family. I was thinking, what a cheek! But Bill says it was like being asked by an old friend what you hadn't seen in a long time. And there was my Bill. You know how he is with strangers, Maud. He uses words like they cost £1 apiece. And there he was, telling him about our Tom and Ellen and about me needing an operation and all. I'd have died if I'd known. Him being a perfect stranger. And the old foreign gentleman says something like, I'll pray for your wife. And you must pray too. I dare say Bill was hoping he'd leave off. My Bill praying, can you see it? So, Bill gets embarrassed and tells him that he don't know much about religious things, being as how he's had to work hard all his life and no time for that. But he says it not cheeky, mind, with respect. Bill says there was something ever so nice about him. You could never be rude, like. And the old man didn't half surprise Bill by saying with a big smile and his voice booming all over the passage, Good, very good. And he goes on to say that work is a kind of prayer too. And that if a man goes on to work, well, like to support his family or to help other people, it's like God understands he's busy. And that's how a working man prays, so to speak. Like it's the reason what counts with the Lord. Well, if that didn't half give my Bill something to think about, I tell you, it's funny, Maud, how we never thought of it before, but when you stop to think, it makes good sense. So, then the gentleman says goodbye to Bill and wishes him good luck and all, and when somebody asks a question of the old man, Bill's able to slip away. And off he goes to work this morning, does Bill, whistling the place down and marching around like he was the king of the Mile End. Oh, he's not going to forget that foreign gentleman in a hurry, mark my words. So there's he sat last night, see, letting his tea get cold and asking me in a daft voice like what I told you. Did I think there was anything in religion? Him what isn't exactly a plaster saint and wouldn't set foot in a church but for weddings and funerals. Well, says I guess there's a lot of good people in the world and the good Lord knows who they are, if anybody does. And I don't reckon all of 'em do their praying in church, love. Oh, he's not a bad sort, my old Bill.